We are all working for and with the United States Navy and we're in a system command called it's called NAVAIR, Naval Air Systems Command. So we're the airplane part of the Navy. It's things that fly and then the weapons that go on those platforms and all of that neat, interesting stuff. And so our organization, this performance resource team, has existed for more than 25 years. It's gone through various name changes, but that's a common thing in the government. Sometimes we change names, but we're doing the same job, and it's been a great thing to help make happen here throughout the system command called NAVAIR, which is all over this United States. Enough on that. I'm going to introduce myself, and my teammates will do the same. Yes, our biography, as Julia said, is out there for you to read in detail. So I'm just going to go very briefly. Again, I've already said I'm Jeff Schwalb. I am the lead of the performance resource team. My cohorts all make this great work happen that we are inspired to do to help teams do better work. And the elevator speech I always use, we help projects support the warfighter by making projects happen on cost, on schedule, with the highest quality products available and services to go with it. So with that, let me hand it over to the next guy I see on the video, Brad, Dr. Brad Hodgins.
Okay, hi, Brad Hodgins. I started working at China Lake out of college in '84. So I'm just a couple of years shy of 40 years of getting a paycheck to do software, computer science things, all different aspects. Did software development for about 35 years and retired for Navy, for NAVAIR. I retired about 3 years ago, and back in 2000, about 22 years ago, I got introduced to Team Software Process, and I've been using it or teaching it ever since. It's a phenomenal process. Along the way, the Navy made TPI from Team Software Process, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I got my doctorate in computer science in 2018, and it was on this topic. So this is a near and dear to my heart, and I'm very glad we get an opportunity to share it with you. Christiane?
Hi, my name is Christiane Aber. I've been working with the performance resource team for 3 years as a performance improvement coach. I have some previous experience in electronics design and system test, and I hold a BS in mechatronic engineering from Cal State Chico. Over to you, David.
Good morning, I'm David Saint-Amand. My original degree is in geology with a minor in computer science. I spent the first 10 years of my career as a seismic safety consultant with my father, Dr. Pierre Saint-Amand. I came back to China Lake, where I'd had a summer job, and became a naval operations research analyst at the Weapons and Tactics Analysis Center. After a while, I wound up at the Biometrics Management Office in Washington, D.C., and then finally back at China Lake, where I joined the performance resource team and became a certified coach and a certified instructor for the PSP. And here I am, civil service, and looking forward to the rest of the talk today. Thank you.
All right, so that's who we are. That's what we do and some of our background. Deeper reading available in our bio. So we will get started. We do want to say at this point, we encourage questions if you want to ask them rather than waiting all the way till the end. Also, feel free to use the chat. We'll monitor that between the four of us, try and respond to some of those, and we will help each other out with chiming in and adding perspectives, additional information, or sometimes we make mistakes too. We might leave something out, and one of the other of us on our team will help smooth that over. So here we go. I want to give you a module overview in terms of these aspects. Very light here, because each module will go deeply into the presentation subjects, but this course is normally it's used to present to our community of engineers, a lot of software engineers, but a lot of other kinds of engineers use this material. As you'll see, we took the word software out intentionally and made it a team process, so that a lot of our engineering teams that are combined with all kinds of disciplines still use this to do the basic planning and implementation of great products and services for our customer, U.S. Navy and the warfighter. So the objective here is to introduce in this course to everybody a quick overview of how to get started, how to join a team that may already be using this process, or even helping start up a team sometimes before they then go off and do their first launch. Launch in our world of team process and personal process is essentially the planning cycle that's up front at the beginning of major cycles in any major project that needs to do a good job of delivering high quality products on cost and schedule. The training topics, I think those are pretty self-explained. And once we get to that, I won't spend any more time here, but we will we'll go over that very quickly here in the next couple of slides. First, though, we'd like to talk about the idea of why we think this is so necessary. And even to this day, you know, after many years and decades working with projects and teams, we see project failure, and our conclusions when we do our own retrospective on what do we see going on in projects, why do they fail, which is, you know, our main, how do we do something about that, are these three major topics. A lot of stuff is wrapped up into these that we'll get into details of in this half-day seminar, but really, do they even have a good idea of what are the objectives of the project and what are they trying to deliver and make happen? And sometimes they have that and they don't. Regardless, independent of that, is if they haven't made a good commitment to having a project plan, well, without a clarity of objectives, they're not going to have the ability to even make a project plan. Once they have that, then we can build, working with those teams, help them make their project plan using this process and coaching them through those kinds of steps. And of course, last but not least is you have a plan because you have objectives. Now they have to have an effective way of doing that planning, which is that launch planning process that we talked about, or that I just mentioned, excuse me, and we will talk about. And of course, you have a plan, now you're doing the work. You've got to monitor that plan and adjust to that plan because changes happen, requirements move, requirements are discovered that weren't even known before, et cetera, et cetera. We'll get into a lot of that today in this overview. Now, for successful projects, here's the basic fundamental goals that we've then boiled this down to. We applied this, these methods and processes for, you know, over 20 years across our teams throughout the NAVAIR complex and all of its sites, East Coast, West Coast. And it's been for major projects that are delivering products to the fleet, as all the way down to small projects that sometimes exist only within a one-year boundary. And we boiled that down many years ago to this idea of these 5 factors. And so our simplest version of TPI is called a 5-factor process, in fact, that we use with our one-year funded projects. And all the way up to the biggest of projects, it's still basic. And it's these 5 areas. Do they have, are they doing, or we help them earn value, a key part of knowing where they are in their project at multiple levels. Do they have percentage of budget spent as planned? Now, the asterisk imply some notes at the bottom. You'll see so things like reporting are on a regular basis, and it has actual data compared with plan data. And you know, it sometimes is not completely part of this methodology. There are some things that happen outside of this planning process methodology, the team process, but it's a key part of helping a team do those. And please ask questions about that if that doesn't make sense. But we will try and I think answer a lot of this. Of course, a forecast completion date. By tracking a plan, we'll know if we're getting behind or ahead or right on track. Risk management is a key part of knowing how to detect when things aren't going the way you expected. So there's some really fundamental ideas here that we help teams to apply. And of course, deviations and changes from the plan, as I said, requirements and a whole lot of other things can cause that effect, or the changing in funding, et cetera. So this is really all about, as I said on the previous slide, that third bullet, this is designed to provide the learning engineers with this methodology for how to be successful versus the challenges we talked about on the previous slide with why projects fail. This is pretty much an outline that you'll see on slide 6, the next slide, that we will drive the whole presentation from today on these topics. The point here is personal process, personal planning, and personal quality. These are the 3 major pillars of running a successful project. And then all these things sprinkled in, you know, in front, a quick overview, and then a few key aspects that we will put in the last couple of modules about making the team build and not coagulate, come together, bad word, and some of the tools. Of course, the major tool that we always recommend is the process dashboard. We happen to have Mr. David Tuma on board as part of our C, so he can talk to us, but Brad's quite an expert too, and we'll talk to some of those as well. And that's what gives those data aspects that we mentioned. So here's where we will run the major part of the show from, are these hot links to the 7 modules of the remaining 6 modules of the 7 modules of this presentation with a quick summary. But before I go there, and I will present the first module after this one, the TPI overview, which is module 2. But before I do that, just wanted to point out an important reference here. A lot of this material, if you're familiar with team software process and the personal software process that preceded it, those are all great giant accomplishments that we've built this work on, that we've evolved to applying to much of our engineering community, not limited to just software individuals and those projects. And so we want to recognize the great work of Watts Humphrey, the Software Engineering Institute, and all of the great work that this is really based upon.